What's going on, YouTube family? T.O. here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you. I'm not doing any lake breakdowns tonight. I'm actually going to do probably an odd kind of video for you guys, but sometimes I'm out there fishing on the lake and things happen to me, and I wish I had a notepad. In fact, maybe I'll start bringing a notepad with me because it happens, and I'm like, man, if I would have just wrote that down and I can remember that every time I go out, that's going to make me a lot better angler. And I think that's a big challenge that we have as anglers is that there's all these different factors. There's colors that we need to use. There's wind that we need to consider. There's transition areas that we need to consider. There's all these different things that we have to think about when we're bass fishing, and it can really be overwhelming to you. And I wish I had a simple way to tell you, you just focus on these three things and that's going to help you. And I try to simplify it as much as I can for you guys. But the truth is that the variables are all over the place. And so you just need to really get a technique that you like, that you enjoy, and really hone in on that technique and get really good at that technique and learn all the ins and outs of it. And then when you get really good at that, then move on to your next thing that you want to give a try and get really good at that as well. And then as you get older and you get a little gray on your beard, you'll eventually get to where you have 3, 4, 5, 6 techniques that you feel really confident in that you can go out and fish with. So I want to talk tonight about a technique that I have a ton of confidence in, and that is a shaky head. And you guys have heard me talk about this a ton, and you're probably like, man, this guy just wears this out with shaky heads. But I wanted to talk about some things that happened to me over the last 3 days. I haven't had a lot of time to talk to you guys about it, but been having some power outlet issues, I guess you could say, in the boat. So every time I go out to do some video for you guys, I can't keep my power on my GoPro long enough to give you guys any good quality. So hopefully I have that fixed. I've ordered a bunch of new power cords, some parts for the boat as well, and hopefully we'll be back up and running here in just a couple days. But so unfortunately, not a lot of fancy video. But anyways, getting back to what we're talking about with the shaky heads, we're out there these last 3 days fishing, and something happened to me that probably happens to me all the time, and I just adapt to it because just something, naturally, because I use a shaky head so much. But I was thinking, man, if I was a new person to fishing, I don't think that I would pick up on this nearly as fast. And so I really want to try to help you guys out. And maybe you're not new to fishing. Maybe you're just new to using shaky heads. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about the technique that I was using this weekend. And I had a phenomenal weekend before this cold front flew in. We went out to Ray Hubbard on Friday. We tore it up. I ended up having 12 or 13 fish myself. Landon had a good day as well. So we had a really good day. A lot of small fish, not a lot of big quality fish, just a few here and there, but just had a lot of fun catching fish. Went out Saturday or Friday, New Year's Eve, and went to Lake Fork and decided we'd go to Fork and see if we could catch him suspended on the trees, and got down there around 7 o'clock. And I believe we left the boat ramp at 10 o'clock, somewhere right around 10 o'clock. So that kind of tells you how my trip went on Fork. I did not like it down there. Stumps all over the place. Yes, you can see them, but it made me really nervous. It was an uncomfortable environment to be fishing in. Again, I wasn't fishing to one of my, my things I'm really good at. So I'm out of my element out there, and I just didn't feel confident. So with us not getting a single bite, we caught a big old slab crappie. We caught a couple of white bass, but no largemouth. By 10 o'clock, I was ready to bail. We bailed. We went up to Tawakoni, ended up with 15 or 16 pounds. We caught 12 or 13 fish up there, and we left at 1 o'clock. So from whatever time it took us to leave the ramp on Fork to get to Tawakoni, we fished 2 spots on Tawakoni, had a fire day, and then decided, hey, let's go get some lunch and let's head home because we know we're going to fish the next day. So then we went the next day out to Ray Hubbard. Went out to Hubbard again, same spots. We've been fishing over around the Sapphire area. Had a decent day, but not nearly as good as the Friday before. So that would have been Saturday that we went to Hubbard before the big cold front came in, and it was decent. We definitely caught some fish back there, but some things I learned along the way. So let's go ahead and share them with you. So you guys know I love to use a shaky head, and I love to use a shaky head with a brush hog. So if I show you this right here, this is my normal setup. That's a sandtone shaky head, 1/4 ounce shaky head with a brush hog on it. Now, notice I have the tail dipped in red. So I've got that tail dipped in red, get a little bit of garlic scent, stuff like that. So that's what I want to talk to you about. So we go out to Hubbard, right? And we're in Hubbard the first day. I think this would have been Thursday morning, because I had 4 days off of work before I had to go back to work and finish out the day on Thursday. So we've been Thursday morning, nice calm day. We go back there. We know that we need to focus on the rocks. So if you're new to this, right now is the time you need to get off the brush piles and stuff like that. Start focusing on the rocks. We're going to focus on the rocks for a couple months here, and definitely. So just get used to fishing the rocks. So we decided we're going to fish the rocks. We're going to focus around this marina, and we're going to throw these shaky heads. We tried a couple moving baits, crankbaits, stuff like that to see if we could have some fun, a little more power fishing, but there weren't very many takers, but they loved the shaky head. So the kicker was, though, when we started off fishing, I'm over there fishing, and typically when I throw a shaky head out, I'm going to cast it out. And after I cast it out, I'm going to have to put this back on my rod so I don't whip myself in the face. So after I cast it out, I'll make my long cast out there, right? And then I let the shaky head fall all the way to the bottom. Make sure that I let it fall on slack line. That is absolutely critical. If you throw it out there and you engage your reel immediately, you're going to cause your bait to basically go out there, right? Swings way out there. And as soon as you engage that reel, that bait swings back this way and makes it look very, artificial looking. It does not look real at all. So you cannot do that. You got to throw it out there and make sure. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll even spin a couple feet of extra line out as it's falling. And then as it falls, I'm just waiting and anticipating to see if I feel any kind of action on it at all. So I know that when I throw it out there, it should take me 4 or 5 seconds to get to the bottom, right? So I throw it out there, I let it fall, I feel it go thunk, just barely with my rod, then I know I'm on the bottom. And then with that slack line, I'll reel in just a little bit, maybe half that slack line, and then I'll pop it a couple times, just like this, just with my wrist. I'll just have it like this, and I'll just pop it like that, 1, 2. And that usually pops that lure up 3 or 4 feet off the bottom. And then again, as it's falling, I make sure I'm still on slack line and I'm waiting. I know that now, after I pop it, it should take about 1 second or 2 seconds to hit the bottom. I should feel it go thunk on the bottom. And if I don't feel that thunk on the bottom, then that's when you'll usually see me reel down, and I'm trying to feel if anything's pulling on it. If it is, I've already reeled down. I just got to set my hook. Now, if you don't feel the thunk on the bottom, usually that means they've grabbed it on that fall. And a lot of times you'll feel them just kind of tick it. So the thunk will be a little bit harder feel when it falls on the bottom. And then when they hit it on the fall, it'll just be this really light, just real light tick. I mean, you're going to have to really be paying attention to it because it's just super light. As soon as you feel that light tick, you need to reel down, see if you feel any action. If you do, you've got to set the hook quickly or you're going to miss them. So that's some kind of tips on the shaky head stuff. But going back to what I was talking about this weekend that I really wanted to key on and help you guys out is that's how I was fishing it. So I was popping it up and letting it fall. Now, Landon, on the other hand, is in the back of the boat on Thursday when we started off. And I think he caught 4 fish before I caught my first one. And so if you're like me, I'm competitive as hell. I do not like getting beat at anything, even by my own son, and he does it all the time in fishing. And so I'm constantly watching him to see if there's something that he's doing that's a little bit different than I'm doing. Is that the way the bait that he's throwing is really easy to figure out, right? We throw a lot of the same baits. But is it a technique or what is it? So on Hubbard, for whatever reason, on Hubbard, those fish did not, or those fish loved it. Sorry, I've got this totally jacked up my story. I was catching a ton of fish. Landon wasn't catching nearly as many fish on Thursday. So I was popping it, and that was working really well. We go out Friday. We did the fork thing. We went back to Tawakoni. On Tawakoni, I'm popping it, and I caught a fish like on my second or third cast, popping it. So I thought, okay, definitely going to be popping it all day. That's the way I like to fish it. Then Landon proceeded to just absolutely whip me on Friday. And what he was doing is he was throwing the same exact bait, same exact shaky head, same exact everything, except for rod and reel. I think we even had the same rod, just a different reel. But he would throw it out there. And he would throw it more like I would talk about using jigs. So I talked about popping the jigs before, but he throws it out there, right? He lets it go out there, lets it fall on slack line just like I do, waits for the tick. If there's a tick early, sets the hook, all that good stuff. But once it falls, what he does is basically he uses his wrist to just move the bait. So he's going to let it fall, and then still on a little bit of slack line, he's just going to go like this. And his little pop might just be that light with his wrist. So just a couple pops. Usually it's just because he's trying to get over a rock or something like that. And he'll pull it back, get the rod tip a little bit more almost parallel with you, vertical, and then reel down or pull the rod down, reel in a little bit of the slack line, and then continue to do the same thing. Very slow, very methodical, and no popping at all. He whipped my tail at Tawakoni for about the first hour, hour and a half. And I'm like, what in the world? I'm using the same bait, everything. And then, of course, dumb me, I don't look over to see that, hey, he's not popping his bait. He's just dragging it very slowly. As soon as I did that, immediately started catching fish. So same lure, same everything. Different lake, though. That was a little bit different. One was Hubbard, one was Tawakoni. But on Tawakoni, they liked it when I dragged it really, really slow. It was almost the same weather conditions, too. I don't get it. And then on Hubbard, they wouldn't bite it if I dragged it slow. They'd only bite it when I was popping it. So anyways, do Tawakoni, right? Figure out on Tawakoni it's slow. So wake up Saturday morning. We got a cold front coming in around 2 or 3 o'clock. So we know we got to get up early. After the rain, so the rain ended like around 8:30, so we had a little bit of window. Go out there and fish. I start off, I pop it a couple times, I get my first fish, I'm super happy, so I think, okay, it's going to be popping again, everything's going to be great. I end up proceeding to get whipped by Landon again. He started out fishing me. I'm paying attention to what he's doing. He's not popping them. I adjusted, went back to my slow fishing, immediately started catching fish again. So guys, it is that particular. I mean, I was using the same baits, everything. The only difference was just in my retrieve. So make sure when you're out here using these shaky heads and you're trying to get used to this technique that you always do both of them. Pay attention to how you caught that fish. Did you catch that fish just dragging it? Or did you actually catch that fish popping it up and letting it fall? The other thing to pay close attention to that'll key you in onto how they're going to bite this is, even if you're not comfortable with popping it, and so maybe you want to drag it most of the time, the key that will tell you if you need to start popping it is, if you're throwing it out there and most of your bites are coming on the fall, you need to fish this bait with more falling action. If most of your bites are coming after it hits the ground and you're just dragging it along and they're picking it up, then you just need to fish it more like a jig and drag it along. Hey guys, I hope that helps out a lot. I know it was a lot of rambling and stuff like that, but I just really thought that was unique this weekend, how I used the same bait for 3 different days. Even on the same lake, the technique changed from day to day. I popped it one day, had a lot of success. The next day, took a day off, came back the next day. The popping didn't work at all. You had to be dragging it, all the same weather conditions. So anyways, hope that helps you. Pay attention. Also, you can use that same technique on your jigs. So just because I'm talking shaky heads, you can also do that with your jigs, especially those little smaller finesse jigs. Hey guys, I hope this is helping you out. Let me know if there's some more content you guys are looking for. Anything particular, just holler at me, leave me a comment, see if I can help you out. Until next time, hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.